India Impact AI Summit because this is the world's largest AI expo, and what better that our honorable PM has himself been putting in efforts to make India reach to this place that we are now hosting many nations. There are dignitaries, there are industry colleagues from many nations who are, joining hands. They are seeing India progress on this front. So this is a proud moment for us, and let us, enjoy. Let us contribute to this moment. So the point of conversation discussion in front of us is the India AI stack, strategic framework for our national growth and pride. Before diving into the discussion, I want to read an adaptation of Ramdhari Singh Dinkarji, Rashmi Rathi, or modern take on patriotic verse of that. It goes like this: नूतन युग का नूतन भारत नई चेतना लाता है, सोवरन एआई की भाषा अब यह भारत गाता है, ज्ञान शिखर पर फिर आरूढ़ एआई से शक्ति संचित है, भारत के सपनों को सच करती यह एआई क्रांति अद्भुत है. So I read these lines for our esteemed panelists who have joined us today and have embodied the character to develop India AI stack. Our panelists have lived these lines by their work in their respective fields and immensely contributed in building nation's strength and to give wings to the AI revolution in India. Please join me with a round of applause in welcoming our guest today. In the order left to right, I'll introduce our panelists. So Swastik Chakravarti is the Vice President Technology at Network Technologies India Limited, where he leads strategic technology innovation and AI-led product development for large-scale digital transformation solutions. He drives the design and development of AI-enabled platforms to offer complete sovereign AI platforms, including GPU systems, AI storage, and AI cloud stack. And maybe if I can have the liberty to introduce myself also, I am Hriday Vikram. I'm Senior Vice President and Chief Sales and Marketing Officer with Network Technologies. So I have been on the on the AI front in HPC for last 20 plus years. So I want participation from each one of you to make this moment actually. Moving forward to Dr. Tav Pritesh Sethi, Professor of Computational Biology, and also serves as founding head at Center of Excellence in Healthcare Information Technology at IIIT Delhi. He has also contributed to research at AIIMS New Delhi and served as a visiting faculty at Stanford University's School of Medicine. He was CSIR Quick Hire Fellow at the CSIR 4th Paradigm Institute. Please give a round of applause for Dr. Tav Pritesh Sethi. Then we have Dr. Manan Suri. He is a professor at IIT Delhi, specializing in neuroformic computing, artificial intelligence, hardware, and advanced memory technologies. He is also the founder of Sairan AI Solutions. He has been featured in prestigious lists like MIT Technology Reviews Innovators Under 35 and Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia. Dr. Suri leads pioneering research and on next generation brain inspired computing systems that promise to revolutionize AI hardware. Then we have Colonel Amit Mehna, Director AI, DGIS Indian Army. He is a senior Indian Army officer serving as Director, Artificial Intelligence, Defense Geospatial Information Service, that is DGIS, for his distinguished service of the highest order to the nation over 28 years. He has also been awarded the Vishisht Seva Medal, VSM. Then we have Dr. Sultan Singh. He is a distinguished geospatial scientist and director of Haryana Space Application Center. He also serves as Chief Geospatial Officer for Haryana State Development Authorities, including GMDA. And driving geospatial governance, implementing AI for urban planning, infrastructure, and environmental monitoring across multiple authorities. Under his leadership, HARSEC has executed over 270 geospatial projects spanning agriculture, water resource, forestry, disaster management, and disaster resilience. So we have such esteemed panel and we all would like to, enrich ourselves with the thoughts coming from them. So let us try to take part as much as possible. So goal is definitely, to provide various perspectives on the topic of India AI stack, fostering and engaging the informative experience rather than having discussions in isolations, I would say. So for our audience quick understanding, India AI stack comprises of three important elements. Application layer, that basically covers the foundational models, text, speech, vision, multimodal, different type of models. Then the second layer comes hardware layer, where the applications, the models, where these applications run on. How each ingredient are being enriched by Indian manufacturing ecosystem, and how the implementation of the hardware which is used for India stack, how this is getting done in the country, we are going to know about both the layers. Then comes the important aspect that how these organizations, be it PSUs, central PSUs, state PSUs, defense organizations, or the education research institutes, they are implementing the both the layers, that is the AI stack, the applications layer, as well as the hardware layer. Because with these two applications only, with these two layers only, we can really see the India AI stack in real action. And that is what we would like from our esteemed panelists, that how they have implemented during their tenure, what they have done, what difficulties they face. So that is the objective for all of us to know that how India stack is getting built in India, how it is basically leveraging the technology. So before I dive into the session, I'll quickly introduce the flow of the session to the panelists and even the audience as well, so that we can be on time, frankly speaking, on covering all the inputs. I request our esteemed panel to first share their respective thoughts on the importance of India AI stack, the strategic framework for national growth and pride. I request the panelists to cover their thoughts initially in 2 minutes. Thereafter, we'll dive into the detailed discussion, and we'll have some questions for which our audience would like to hear from you. So maybe in the order, starting with Dr. Tavpritesh Sethi, sir, please let us know that what India AI stack means to you and what you have done in the past, building this India AI stack for the country. So starting with you, sir.
Thank you, Hriday. Thank you, NetWeb, for having me here. I think India, as we know, it's a famous saying that if we solve it for India, we've solved it for the world. And I think it's very much true especially for healthcare, which is my area of expertise, and I work in health tech and health AI. So India AI stack for health, I think, is a very important component that should have all the layers of sovereignty, explainability, also inclusivity. I think there's several countries that have been trying to build AI from several lenses, right? There can be more capitalistic approaches. But India, I think, has taken a very balanced approach towards building inclusive AI, and that's what all these discussions on responsible AI are about. Doing that is not simple. It's easier said than done. The blocks are already there. The building blocks of having data sets, for example, and having a framework like ABDM is a fantastic step towards that direction, which allows interoperability of data and then perhaps applications to be built. My particular work has been focusing on ICUs a lot, building models that can predict which baby is going to crash in the next 24 hours with things like sepsis or shock in the tertiary care settings. But very quickly we recognize that that's a very small proportion of what healthcare is. What we really need is, in the stack, how do we build these models for low resource settings? I work with AIMS, where a nurse may be visiting a bed maybe every 30 minutes, and monitoring equipment exists. Maybe not all ICUs have that kind of resources, right? So we've also built models which actually do some very interesting novel tasks like resolution transfer, where such equipments may not be collecting high density data. So how can we build the transfer learning to settings where low density data can also help with the same kind of accuracies? I think those are some of the things that we've been doing. Then we contribute to antimicrobial research, drug discovery and all of that, but happy to talk about that more later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thav. Dr. Manan, if we can have your inputs on India AI stack, please.
Thank you, Hriday. Thank you to NetWeb and the organizers. So in my opinion, there is no understatement that AI is important, and we are headed to an AI-dominated age. So the India AI stack is important because as a nation, we should inspire to be AI OEMs, and not just AI service providers. Sector after sector, for whatsoever reasons, the economy or the approach has been more towards services. But when we are faced, AI is an inflection point. So we have a chance here to aspire to become a OEM. So when you have to become an OEM, you have to own the stack, right? And so that is why it is important, not just from a sovereignty point of view, but also from a national value creation point of view.
Change the service economy to the manufacturing economy.
So that is the core thing here. Now, in our own experience, how we have contributed to the India AI stack, we have contributed on two sides. One is the application side. Our team at Siren and at IIT Delhi, we have built many indigenized applications specifically for Geo AI or Geospatial AI, Defense AI, Computer Vision AI. These solutions have been, built indigenously. They are all also deployed, and they are operational as we speak. And proud to say that some of the co-panelists and their organizations and institutions also use that. And it is so that is the fundamental owning the stack at the application layer. And the best part is some of our deployments run on NetWeb hardware, which is flawless in terms of the physical layer. So that gives you some confidence how you're owning the stack. The other area where we have been contributing is the R&D. That is, what are the future building blocks of this AI hardware puzzle? It's GPUs. You start with extreme CPUs, GPUs, accelerators, FPGAs. So on the academic side, we do a lot of work on the hardware building blocks, nuts and bolts of semiconductor IP. That is neuromorphic computing or brain-inspired computing. So that is something which will probably hit the ground, say, 5 years from, as a product which will hit the ground, say, 5 years from now or so. So these are again, I can go more in details, but these are the stack level interventions that we are doing in our work.
That clearly describes, how the India stack is important from your perspective. And I think, one thing very beautiful here is that just imagine that now the situation for the country is such that on one hand we have the, the solution providers like Siren AI Solutions. We have got the contributor in terms of IIT Delhi. And then we have the users on the other hand, the Indian Army, and then the manufacturers who are manufacturing the systems. So this is called the true sovereignty, that we have got application, user, and the manufacturers all sitting on the same dais. That is the true sovereignty. That is the true achievement of India mission, or I would say, India Summit. So, definitely we appreciate the efforts of, Government of India, Honorable PM, that we have resulted into this situation. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colonel Amit Mehta, please.
Hello. First of all, thank you, Mr. Naveen and Mr. Hriday, for inviting me to this panel. As far as sovereign India AI stack is concerned, it can't be more important to the Indian military, right? I've seen our journey started about 2.5 years back as far as the AI absorption within the Indian Army was concerned. And what we saw was over-reliance on, all the foreign stacks, whether they are LLMs, open source LLMs, the hardware, everything. And recent, the skirmish which we saw, Sindoor, it further, emphasized the need to absolutely go sovereign, right? Reason is we are planning to have even the critical aspect of military decision making at some point in time being aided by the AI part, not given to AI, but aided by the AI. So the commanders with their own cognitive, thought process, which they have developed over a period of time, the processes, the workflows of the military decision making, how does AI help the commander to, fructify whatever he's thinking, maybe give a different option, give a different thought process. But this can't happen if I'm, over-reliant on some foreign technology or a foreign stack. Military decisions are made in the shortest span of time. The OODA loop has to be faster than the adversary. And if we have to do that, if someone on whom I'm relying, say a foreign technology, pulls the carpet under my feet, what do I do and where do I go, right? So the requirement is that absolutely sovereign stack is the dire need of the Indian Army. There are some steps which we have started over a period of discussion. We will have those steps. I'll elaborate on that. We have been working with, like co-panelists like Sairan and everybody, wherein, just to give an example, simple thing like, say, an application layer of satellite imagery change detection, right? I've seen some models working outside. I've gone and visited some foreign militaries also. They are using their own stack. But let me tell you, the terrain there and the terrain here is totally different. The objects there and the objects here are totally different. What we are looking for, from my perspective, is not what they are looking from their perspective. So they are working on or training a model on their own concept of warfare fighting, where I have to train it on my own set. And once I have to rely on absolute sovereign India stack. And this is one example where we worked very closely with the team from IT, from Sairan. And the model is a functional model today within the Indian military. Thank you. We'll discuss more about it.
So thank you. Thank you for inputs, Colonel Mena. So, Dr. Sultan, if we may have your inputs, please.
Thank you. First of all, thanks to organizer, and I great regard, thanks to all audience in front of me. Then thanks to their thoughts. They are keen to attend this kind of sessions. In Haryana, we are thinking like in a different way of that. Space to citizen stakes. All citizen stakes, how can we build in the complete sovereign staging system? So we are working on that. Means every stake of citizens, right from birth to end of the heaven, how can we work out that platform? We are working on that almost last 7 years. For that, we need to very, very high-end computing infrastructures. So we are seeking that way of the understanding. And Haryana, in terms of area, is very small in compared to other states. But using this such kind of the technology, we are working in. I can say that we are basically create oxygens in between citizen and governance. So we are basically media of that. On that account, we work each and every citizens using this technology. Probably Haryana is only state. Every citizens know about the entire satellite utilization up to parcel and pixel level. So that is our basic capacity building at the end user. For that, this AI summit is a more important, probably in across this entire participations. Haryana is more actively in across the all. In morning, I'll see that everywhere the Haryana stakeholder is actively and adventurously they are the participate. So we can detail out in that in continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I think we definitely appreciate, even we all understand that how, state governments function, despite all the limitations, despite all the restrictions, I would say, in simple words or in, frank words, you still use the technology, especially the AI, in such a way that you have implemented those, the AI framework, so that, you can make the departments like SCRID function in the state. Haryana Space Application Center has basically, designed and delivered such GIS solutions which are even deployed across country. We really appreciate, and I'm sure with the questions following, we would like to know more about that, how it has been done practically. So over to you, Swastik, now. Yeah. Please, your take.
Yeah, so thanks, Hriday, and thanks the esteemed panel members, and also the viewers or the people who are in the room. With reference to NetWeb, we have been in this journey of manufacturing high-end computing systems for last 25 to 26 years. Now, off late with AI and proliferation of AI, and that's why the India stack comes into picture, wherein you have a high-end AI infrastructure, which is housing different chips which are primarily deployed for AI applications, and then you have that application tier which is leveraging this underlying platform, the investment of the customers to basically take it for citizen-centric services or for the usable business-related applications. At NetWeb, we are focusing on both these aspects. The first thing first is that we are one of the 7 global manufacturers, design manufacturers of NVIDIA. So we have servers which are configured with the latest and greatest GPUs that being manufactured by or that is being offered by NVIDIA. One of the biggest advantage for us is since we are the design partners, we get to have access to the systems which are going to be released in the market maybe 6 or 8 months down the line. We have that access right now, so we can keep our customers way ahead of the curve. So when NVIDIA or principals launching their product, we have our products ready so that customers can leverage the latest and greatest technology much more faster. That is one aspect. And towards that, if I have to take certain names, like we had been having H100, H200, and B200, B300, and we have all the systems ready today, and also for the future, right? There are NVL72, which is going to be a kind of rack scale GPU design. But where we have made a difference, again, the relevance of India AI stack comes into picture, wherein we are creating a differentiated value of the same architecture, but making it available for our Indian customers with the Indian usage needs, which is NVL4. In a 2U form factor, 2 numbers of processors and 8 numbers of B200 GPUs, basically tells you 2 things. One is, we can actually increase the computing power per rack, and the second thing is that a local innovation can actually keep our customers well ahead than any other innovation that are happening. On the other hand, from an application perspective, we are also talking about some of the solutions that we build. Sir has talked about some of the healthcare solution, but one of the perennial problem for India happens to be the public health system, and how do I actually build that? So we have been doing a lot of application development so that I can reduce the time to cure for the common Indian citizen. We can also increase the productivity of the doctors. We can also increase the productivity of the lab workers, as well as the radiologists who are doing this. So I think from a network perspective, both in terms of the stack, which is infrastructure, as well as the applications which leverages this underlying benefit, is the maximum. And icing on the cake happens to be, if we have to reach the edge AI, so we are also having our smallest form factor systems that can be deployed at the edge, which can do an edge AI, and that can deliver to the rural or the most remote part of the country, and that is the biggest benefit of an inclusive AI, bringing those citizens also within the purview of serving the government or citizen-centric services through those platforms as well. So that is the way we are structuring our hardware and software.
Thanks, Swastik. I think that clearly defines the definition of India AI stack, and how what importance even the hardware carries and what India has achieved on that front. So delving into more details, I would like to start with Dr. Tav. Sir, we have been seeing that on the medicinal research side, India has been progressing, in many ways. But for an outsider, maybe there can be some members in the audience who may not be able to understand that how do you basically use the foundation models, which is part of India AI stack, still you are able to basically render such services which are directly helping the citizens. That chain is not understood by the audience, even by many times, despite we being part of the technology world, we also don't understand that how the benefit of those India AI stack foundational model is benefiting the patient or the user or the citizen. So please throw some light on that.
Sure. I think, Swastik, we were outside just chatting, and you hit the nail right on the head that being a very diverse country, and the technical terms that medicine has, if you just take a model out of the box and essentially try to, and we tried doing, I mean, taking all the foundation models 2 years ago that were available at that time, and we were deploying for the Madhya Pradesh primary healthcare settings in the Sanjeevani clinic, not the Sanjeevani, but the Sanjeevani clinic model, right? And the use case was very simple. We have a data science driven model which will basically enable, let's say, the drug stocking, the drug stocks not being out of stock, right? So we discovered some incidental, very interesting findings such as the antibiotic overuse, etc. But that's another thing. The use case that we were trying to build was not all nurses know how to interact with these kind of models, right? Not all pharmacists know how to interact with. So can we build a voice interface for this? If you pick up out of the box model, it won't work in this setting. And that's where I think the India stack, we need customization with all the dialects, with all the languages and dialects that we have. We need those kind of interfaces to be built along with the application layer that needs to be built for the models. I think that's just one example where we have to think as India differently than just using English or just using Hindi or a single language. We are a very diverse country, right? So that's one side of things. The other thing is that I think there's a lot of scope for, as Swastik said, about the public health data itself to be actually collected. ASHA workers are the most overused and I think overworked segment of the health collection, I would say, layer of public health system in India, right? Perhaps 18 different applications that they have to enter data with a redundant data entry in many of these applications as well. And we have to make their work easier by using AI, right? That's not, and that's again where voice-based interfaces come into picture. ABDM frameworks, once only data entry mechanisms, they come into picture. And that's what we are also contributing in the space of antimicrobial research, working with the government of Karnataka and PATH and ICMR and Tata 1mg, to contributing to at least that one application like the pandemic that's already here is AMR. How can we actually make that data layer also strong on that aspect? Because every country across the globe is actually entering into a post-antimicrobial world. So those are the kind of challenges which are unique to India, but also opportunities which are unique to India to leapfrog because I don't see an ABDM-like architecture anywhere. We'd actually make that happen, and of course, voice-based interfaces would be a way to go. I think
maybe the India stack, what you are defining for the medicinal research, maybe the day may come that the same model may further be tuned for the respective territories of the other territories of the world.
Absolutely.
I think that is how
Absolutely.
On one hand, we are talking about sovereign AI stack for the medicinal research, helping country. Thereafter, we are talking about the same AI stack getting replicated and tuned for the respective other territories of the world. And I think that defines that how we are progressing on that front and making use of India AI stack. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Manan, I mean, my question to you is that, you have been working on the innovations on the, non-volatile memory and the neuromorphic hardware acceleration and all that. I mean, this is something which is very different from I would say, a normal user, normal citizen perspective, because they never get to understand what is this area and how this is going to use the India AI stack. Can you please throw some light and let us understand that what are your plans, what you have seen in your tenure, that this kind of hardware innovation can also make use of it, please.
Sure, thanks. So I'll just try to cut aside the jargon and make it more translatable. So let's just consider one thing. A typical GPU would consume anywhere around few hundreds of watts, right? You plug in 4 GPUs in a motherboard and you start talking about a power supply of 2000 watts with a gold rating, right? That's what we are looking at.
Yes.
If you plug in even 4 GPUs. Now consider biological intelligence, right? 2 meals a day, maybe 3 meals max, or sometimes even on 1 meal, and whole day biological intelligence is running multimodal models. So the dissipation of biological intelligence is estimated to be around 20 watts. That's human brain or any intelligent organism doesn't dissipate more than 20 watts of power in a day for all the signals that they're processing, whether it is speech, vision, or text or whatever, and all of this simultaneously, and your GPUs would draw 300, 400 or 2000 watts for the duration that you run them. So neuromorphic computing, essentially it hits at the core of energy dissipation. And we have to see, even from a usage point of view, as AI becomes more and more mainstream, as we all start finding more value in AI, as it starts solving our problems, the consumption of AI will be much more. So for a billion scale inference, or for how do you get that, where do you fulfill that energy requirement from, right? So the core essence here of neuromorphic computing or bio-inspired computing is to come at those building blocks which are energy efficient, right? Because if AI has to succeed in the long run, then it has to be more energy efficient. So that is where the the core motivation lies.
And how do you plan to use the India AI stack for that part?
So again, India as a civilization, the ethos of the Indian charter is sustainable.
Yeah, I
More
understand.
green consumption, or getting more output on less resources, plus whatever
So this is hitting on the the fundamental layer of hardware in that case, and probably that is where you are starting with hitting at the aspect of energy, which is ultimately translating to taking advantage of maybe reducing the energy.
new hardware. So
I see.
absolutely, we talk about AI for all, the impact for all. So if this has to really go in a sustained way, so it has to be more energy efficient. Right?
Do you think that this model can be directly be helping the citizens of the country someday, or it has already reached that stage?
So
The way you are trying to
see,
transform
think about it in the sense how traditional compute or electronics industry has evolved, right? We initially there was functionality, then there came the concept of 3-star electronics, 4-star electronics, or carbon emissions, or you take air conditioners which don't have an emission of a certain point. So I think AI will also go through that cycle where your building blocks will have to become more and more energy efficient. The hardware building blocks will have to become more and more energy efficient, and that will feed back to the wider audience, or wider citizens in general. That will make AI sustain.
Interesting. That's very interesting actually. That how the low energy stack, which you can infuse at the maybe edge level, which may definitely leave an impact on the lives of billions of citizens. And I think this is something we can see arriving very soon in the market also. Even maybe if this is at conceptualized stage at this stage, but I think this can see the reality very soon. If I may be, if I'm right, yeah.
Absolutely. So a lot of these concepts, they have crossed the prototyping stage. Now it's just a matter of mass
Understood.
production or mass industrial adoption, but they have certainly crossed the prototyping stage.
Interesting. So I go back to Colonel Amit Mehna. So Colonel, I think there is absolutely no doubt that sovereign AI, India AI stack, as you rightly explained in the initial inputs also, that plays a very important role. But now the question is that do you think that this is absolutely non-negotiable? Although you have explained, if you talk about developing models, you need definitely something curated for army. You need hardware, definitely that has to deal with the problem of infiltration or intrusion happening at the hardware level. So please throw some light that is this non-negotiable for you, that India AI stack has to exist and it has to proliferate?
So before I delve into the answer proper, let me just bring about what we are looking at, right? I have trained an open source LLM, right, for any kind of decision making. A simple tool like, say, I am asking a small VLM, what is that you see in this, image? The VLM or the LLM has been trained on some data set. I do not know what. When the critical time comes, and I have, fine-tuned this LLM for my specific need within the military, at the critical juncture, what kind of biases, hallucinations it can inject into my military decision making, and military decision making is very critical because it involves, a person dying or living, and there are humongous collateral damage which can be also inflicted if a wrong decision is taken. So therefore, I don't want to leave even an iota of chance on an open source LLM which is fine-tuned or tuned by us for a critical decision making within the military. So how do I subvert that, or how do I, overcome this? So what we have started is we are training as we speak today a military LLM to start with a small 10 billion parameter model. Within few months, you will hear the news that the first military LLM of India is, onboarded, which has been from the scratch made on by the team within the Indian Army, trained on the military data set, absolute military data set which we have trained on, so that there are no biases, there are no hallucinations, there is nothing. And this is the journey which we wish to take from 10 to 50 to 70 to 100 as we go deep dive into how do we want this LLM to function with the deep reasoning, what you see, 253 billion parameter nematron models and all. I'm looking at such journey, and this is the journey which we intend to take. Now, coming as far as the infra is concerned, right? You are aware, we have taken the GPUs, the H200s, the H100s. Now people are going for B200s, B300s, and this complete infra is coming up in various locations within the military, within the Navy, within the Air Force now. But finally, the dependency is still on the hardware. I do not know what bug is there today. I do not know.
That's right.
So what is the option now? So the option is, I am now looking at, obviating the requirement of GPU altogether. Let's see. This is a problem statement which we have given to the environment, and this is a problem statement for all of us in the audience too. What I'm looking now is, I'm not directly jumping to the LLM. I'm saying, let me make small SLMs first, right? And there are some, teams and some startups and some industry who have shown some kind of promise in training a SLM on a CPU instead of a GPU, inferencing on a CPU. So CPUs are still, although they are foreign made, but still, the journey of the CPU has been long enough, and therefore I can still rely on the Indian players or the Make in India thing. So let me see, can I join these SLMs to make a multi-agentic platform, train different SLMs on requirements specific to the army, and give an answer which the LLM is designed to give. So my journey starts from there. So this is an open statement which we have, given a challenge to the environment, and let's try and see, how far we can remove the requirement of a GPU altogether. The third most important facet for us is also what some of the co-panelists touched upon is a sovereign capability at the edge, right? So there are requirements which are met by central resourcing of these GPUs today, say at Delhi or say at wherever we have the networks. So I place that central resource, I train those models, I place those models on the central resource. But at the same time, I'm looking at the AI capability at the edge. And the edge is what you talked about, small boxes, so which have got VLMs, which have got, agentic VSS, which have got YOLO models for object identification. And therefore, I want to obviate the requirement of, sending this complete video stream back to the central resource, choke my bandwidth, and do the analysis there at the edge, and finish the task, give the analysis to the commanders who are looking at it. So this is our journey which we have started. And as I told before also, we are opening out in a major big way to the industry, to the academia, to the startup, the complete ecosystem. We have established a stall here at hall number 4. We are showcasing what are the dual-use technologies which the military is using today and how it can benefit in the civil industry, and vice versa. Obviously, we have to learn and take from each other how do we get these technologies into the decision making as such. So this is where our journey is, and I'm sure there are ideas afloor in this complete floor and the complete Bharat Mandapam. Once the voice reaches that, what is the Indian Army looking at? How do you join this into our journey to make it absolutely sovereign? Network has taken the lead, and let's see how others join our training. Thank you.
That's very interesting to know. In fact, this is for for the knowledge of our audience also. So what Colonel Mehna has talked about is that Army has worked on, if you please correct me if you find me wrong somewhere, has worked on all the layers as of now. First is the paramount important thing was that they wanted to develop their own LLM, and I'm sure that adoption of AI does not limit to the level of LLMs or creating SLMs or VLMs. I'm sure about it. This is a good way, and seeing that how enterprising our army has become, that now they have, put out their booth out there, talking about their product. This is the progress. This is what we talk about, what India AI has achieved. And let us have a, round of applause for our army as well, because we all understand, they work under so restrictions. There are many limitations. Still, they have reached to this level. That is very, tremendous. And on top of it, he's clearly talking about that there is no negotiation possible across all the layers, be it hardware, be it the LLMs or SLMs, or even the adoption of AI at the edge level. There is no negotiation possible at all. So there is something which is very interesting, and I think this clearly reflects the efforts of army which have gone into it. Moving on to Dr. Sultan. Dr. Sultan, I have been I've been fortunate enough to know about your work in the past, and do you think, because in your case, geospatial data has been used in many forms. I mean, frankly speaking, I have been knowing that you use the same for, studying the crop yield, serving the data to the ministries, and thereafter, you also understand that whether there is a land which is unutilized, whether they can be, change in crop which can take place. So all that work is going on. That is just one aspect of agriculture, and you have been dealing with, mapping the entire city, mapping the canals, mapping the rivers. Everything has been done by us. When did you realize that India AI stack or your sovereign AI stack is important for you? Because there is something important that you might be having some ready-made software available, but was it important to go ahead in that direction and build in India AI stack for that purpose?
Yeah, this is a different kind of way I can understand. Initially, for understanding, we need to existing any operational established software, any technology is there. First, we operate that since 2006 to 17 or 18. Then we come out with our actual requirement, like Colonel Mrs. already expressed how we come out this Indian system. Then we realize we need our own way of that. In Indian ecosystem, each and every citizen, their own thought, own will, and own commitment on their own way of the understanding. So I can say every 11 kilometer in geographical area, everything is a change. So the variety of that understanding, no one is international, any software is understand Indian ecosystem. So this is a more important. We only solution is a Indian AI system. I can say within India is a multiple India.
True. That's so true.
So for that way we realize in Haryana we also classified as per the agri-ecological zone, topographical zone, thought of the citizens we understand, how dialect that they understand. So on that way we understand this only is sovereign system is serve our purpose. Initially, I can say being an academic, I can understand the entire ecosystem, the all academia activity. So that is a basic limitation. Without make an Indian sovereignty, we can't process them. No one is any international, even the operating system existing in there, they are not able to serve our actual delivery. Because our individual, within a family, if it is a five person, every have their own understanding. So how we integrate and how we create the all LLM and all system. So that is a basic limitation. That solution is there. With the help of Geospatial. Geospatial is nothing, each and every pixel of the location we need to integrate.
You need to map.
With the map is one to many, many to one integrations. So I can say in terms of consumption of this high and partial image, in coming time, I can say, as I understand, one citizen used the almost 2.4 TB data sets, one single citizen. So that is we understand. How can manage that way? So for that we need a high-end computing in analytic way. So every citizen is very fast. thought is so fast. How can we work on that? So that is a basic our approach, but we are mainly work on the citizen-centric governance. So every citizen stake we can make in this system. And we have a lot of things is there. And anybody can, audience can visit our one of the stall is there, hall number 4. And then we are open for the all academia and all R&D.
Very, very interesting actually. You know, the way they have made use of geospatial data and further rendering services to the different ministries within the state, that is something which is very commendable. And again, you know, state governments function in a very different way. Priorities are very different. You know, functioning in a central government environment is so different than functioning in a state government environment. And really appreciate your efforts on that front. So Swastik, I come back to you and would like to understand that what is the current status of readiness of hardware to achieve India AI stack capability or to achieve India AI stack sovereignty?
Yep.
Is data center to edge readiness there already?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, and NetWeb is actually a front runner for this kind of deployment, as Cornel sir has also mentioned, right? There are edge AI applications which are on the rise, and having a kind of edge deployment, we already have launched our edge server or edge deployment with AI. And then how do I actually connect back to the data center? And there is an application stack which will basically work beautifully, which is called, you know, a kind of edge to the core connectivity, so that it is called speculative decoding. So we have applications using that, so that, you know, the local inferencing can be done there. In case of any bigger thing is there, it will basically forward it to the bigger model which is running out of the data center. So with reference to the data center, we are readiness with NVL4, which is going to be, you know, a kind of 4 GPUs in a liquid cooled machine, and you can have you know, at least 21 numbers of the servers, considering power is there. So that is NVL4 is what we have launched. We would invite all of you to come to the hall number 4 with the NetWeb booth, where we are showing not just the server but also all the individual cards that are actually bringing that server. All of them are being manufactured here in our Faridabad factory. So that is one. Along with that, we have B200 and B300. Both liquid cooled and air cooled systems are positioned there. We also have the latest generation of H200 based PCI based servers that are also being there. So we are cutting across that entire spectrum of the hardware required for us to be more impactful addressing the India AI stack that we are talking about. And sir was basically mentioning about, you know, CPU based inferencing. Yes, we have capability to run even the CPU based inferencing on the SLMs, and we can cluster multiple number of CPU servers put together to create a distributed inferencing cluster. So that is also possible for us. So I think from a hardware and application perspective, we are there,
Nice.
which can help us build more capabilities using this India AI stack.
Nice. This is very important. I think this is for the consumption of audience also, that what we have talked about is that on one hand, there are 4 different verticals who are progressing on the India AI stack. There is a vertical, you know, related to healthcare, medicinal research. Second vertical, which is dealing with the cybersecurity, you know, the low power AI centric edge devices. Third vertical, which is directly related to the army. Army themselves are behaving now as an enterprise and, you know, started building their own solutions. On the other hand, then we have got state government departments also who are now, you know, not shying away from building their own sovereign AI stack. So I think that beautifully exemplifies that how India is progressing on that front. And at the same time, to empower these divisions, empower these verticals, the hardware which was required to be manufactured in the country is what Swastik has talked about, is now getting manufactured in India itself. And important part is, the same was not the situation, I would say 2015, 2016, before 2015, 2016. And I think now we have arrived an era where we are talking about producing world's most powerful GPU platforms. What he talked about, there is NVL4, which probably houses 80 GPUs in a single rack.
Yes, absolutely.
With liquid cooling,
Yeah.
which takes care of your training happening at the data center. At the same time, we are taking care of the AI happening at the edge level also. What Colonel Mena clearly talked about, that we want this AI adoption to take place in such a way that the user sitting probably at the you know, the I would say the border touching the bordering nation, there also we want AI to leave an impact for that army man to see how it can basically help the user to take an advantage of quick decisions, maybe looking at what is there in your stock in infantry, or maybe if we talk about the ASHA worker who is working day in day out, and the ASHA worker is not basically aware of that what is the medicinal stock I have, how the different type of treatments may be required to be given to different patients. That is what this AI stack or sovereign AI stack is going to embody the character of that application. Likewise, what Dr. Manan talked about, that how basically cyber security related or the low power AI edge devices can be designed now in the country, and at the same time how GIS applications can leave an impact. So this is something which is clearly showcasing and progress, showing the impact I would say the India AI has done on the overall industry. So now in the interest of time, I would like to hear from audience also that what are your please let us know that what are the curiosities you have in your mind in terms of understanding that how healthcare is behaving, how healthcare is basically catching up with the AI speed, or the Indian Army. If there are any questions, please, you are welcome to ask. Please.
There's another concept of federated learning models.
Okay.
So are we experimenting on that also? We have some individual SLMs placed at the geospatial location, right? Then we transfer that learning from there to the parent model.
So, Dr. Tav, if you can.
Yeah, in the healthcare space, that's very, very important. I think it's something that we are also doing with between tertiary care hospitals like AIMS and Max, because obviously data exchange is not so easy, but also with even between different AIMS that we just signed an MOU with CDAC, where several AIMS who subscribe to the same the HMIS model, how do we make models move? And believe it or not, every single setting has a different kind of challenge. So federated AI is definitely one of the things which is super important for healthcare, especially in the current DPTP scenario as well. So we want these models to be sovereign at the local setting as well. And I think Sir mentioned about even at the citizen level, right? Giving sovereignty, ultimately the control of the data, patient data to the person. That's what ABDM is about. So thank you.
Great. I think that, yeah. Next question, please. Yeah.
You spoke about federated AI. My question to you is specifically on what are the top 3 metrics and how do you decide that the AI I'm deploying will work on the edge? Right? How do you decide its impact?
It's not easy to explain here in this audience, right? And there are a lot of things which I can't speak also. But suffice to say that the agentic AI platforms which we are talking about today, there are a huge bouquet of these agentic AI platforms all across, whether LangChains, Crew, whatever you talk about. The most important facet is how do I tweak this platform to the army needs, right? And we have very specific use cases. They are not generic use cases, enterprise type, what you use in banking or any other industry for that matter. For that, you will need a very specific data set, which we will give. We will define, sitting with the developer, domain expertise which you will require, because we have seen in this journey of 2 years, the most difficult part is, transferring my domain knowledge to you. You can work in a banking sector within a month, but you will take at least 6 months to work with me, because you will not be able to understand the requirements which are very, very peculiar to the decision making in the army as such. So that said, I can't go into more details. You can have one-on-one with me whenever you wish to. But these metrics are defined with us. What we are looking at is defined with us. Very soon we are also, opening out to the industry, and there is something in the offing which we can have one-on-one.
So this is interesting, and I think Dr. Manan, if you can also throw some light on this. I understand, Colonel Mehna has to basically, he wants to limit himself in terms of, sharing data in such public forum. But since you are also dealing with, with such problems, how do you see, the question he asked, and do you think that you also design these cyber solutions which are using, AI models and all? How do you decide? Do you, invest time or, to see that how whether it is impactful or not, because this is something, this is a very closed domain, and there is no data available as such. Deciding what is going to work, what is not going to work, how do you basically work in, what is your strategy in that case?
Yeah, so there is a very systematic process to it. The very first thing that you need to achieve is the functionality, right? First,
Yeah.
you get the something functional doing the job that you desire. And once the functionality is achieved, then we go on to the metrics, whether it is it can be any metric, whether it is accuracy, whether it is latency, precision, recall. That is the typical direction. Now, edge and data sensitivity again brings more unique aspects to it. They're different compared to enterprise. For enterprise, the evaluation is more standard. For edge, when you have data sensitivity involved, so sometimes you let go of the the standard metrics. And many times what we have seen in these new use cases, you have to devise your own metric depending on the use case, because you may be chasing an industry metric, you may achieve a very good score on that metric, but at the end you realize that it has no equivalence or no correlation to your use case. So we have been at least in our work, we have been in a situation where the industry standard metric is of no use. Like we have to devise a new metric for
this
that.
This has to be absolutely curated, based on whatever observations your system receives and all.
Yeah, and unfortunately, after certain time we say AI is automation, but it becomes more human, because then you are literally conversing with the user.
Yes.
That does this help you? You may have a very high precision, you may have a very high accuracy,
Right.
or a very low latency, but if it doesn't meet the expectation of the the human at the other end, so that is the the ironical part of I'm undoing the whole panel when we are arriving at the end.
Correct. I understand.
But I hope you get what I'm saying.
I get a
Yeah.
point. Any more questions, please? Yeah, please. Yeah.
So my question is actually from a very different industry. I come from the agriculture industry.
Okay.
And I would like to ask Dr. Manan especially, that do you at some point of time see that the farmers will be using AI to understand what are the weeds in their field and understand how can they actually remove, or even as you say, you're talking about the healthcare industry, will they be able to understand what is the disease that their crop has, what is the stage of infestation, because it's a very, very it's a massive area that we're talking about, and once they get used to this, I think a lot of problem in the farming community will be solved.
I get a point. So basically, you want to say that by when the practical usage of AI in the space of agriculture can be seen by us.
By
So
the farmers, not by the corporates. I'm just talking
I get a point. Yes. Basically, the end user.
Yeah, so the theoretical answer to your question is that yes, there are solutions, there are problems also, and there are solutions which are in agriculture which are being solved very well by AI. If you look into the domain of precision agriculture, and we also have other space scientists here.
Yes.
The hyperspectral data or any space data is being used very aggressively to monitor the aging of the crops or the nutrition value of the crops. Now, whether the farmer gets to use it, it's more of a economic question that at what cost, at what infra cost the solution is delivered. So there might be entities, there might be public, there might be entities which can afford and obtain that solution, but whether the last mile farmer how
So
they can
economics plays a role there. Yes.
I can extend on that. Basically, farmer in our state, right from we can say seed to seed, we monitor.
I see.
Right from the day, a moment you are seedling in your soil with the particular moisture, to finally, I can say up to bite also. We are working on that also. Today you buy some food, I can track that also. But right now in our state, we are monitoring right from sowing to till harvesting each and every parcel of the land up to, or I can say less than 1 acre. Then growth pattern of that particular plant. If it is any stress due to any environment conditions, due to irrigation stress, any other, any fertilizer in it, everything every day. We use that daily satellite imaging every day. We are using. Then
But
no,
I can
that's
just
I'll
add
come,
to this.
come out. That
Yeah.
is available. Data is available. Depends upon which satellite data, which sensors we apply. Either optical, either microwave, either SAR, either thermal, and many of the weather related. It is a combination. We predict the yield before the harvesting. How much yield is particular, even than 10 by 10 meter area of that. So that is there. Or then entire system is used by the farmer.
So I think the
We can work
dissemination
one
of
to
the
one.
information thereafter takes place in their in the State Department scenario, because whatever data they capture, they disseminate the information to the respective department. They issue the directives to the farmers, or they guide them with some recommendation. That's how the practical usage may take place. For now, your question is quite valid. The practical usage, the farmers himself should be capable of capturing the data on his own and make use of it. I'm sure. I think the day is not
This is
very
a very
far.
simple.
Yeah.
Stubble burning is one of the chronic problem in this NCR region.
I would request the participants to ask the question outside because other speakers are in the queue. We would
Yes.
present a goodies to all the speakers. Thanks
Sure.
for
Thank you.
coming.
Sure,
Thank
sure,
you.
sure. Thank you. In the interest of time, we'll have to wrap this up discussion a little fast. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, the esteemed panel.